My dad didn't do enough. Well, no, I
My
didn't
dad
get to the
didn't write
story.
me a best-selling novel. It's
My
horrible.
dad was never considered one of the best 12 authors in the US, so I don't know what his problem was.
Just call CPS, call Child Protective Services now.
How's it going? My name's Tanya. This is the Fangirl Feels podcast. We give an emotional analysis of all the books, TV shows, and movies and music that we consume every week. Today I'm here with my co-host.
Olivia. My name's Olivia.
And Olivia is now in a satellite office? Or one of your satellite offices?
One of my many satellite offices. Our last episode, I was also in the satellite office. I love to travel, but this is just my sister's house, so that's where I'm at right now.
And tell us about Feiruz.
Feiruz is my sister's cat who I'm obsessed with. I'm like overly obsessed, but I also like don't know how do you not be overly obsessed? I like don't get it. My family tells me, they're like, you need to calm down. And I'm like, I truly don't know how. I don't know how to calm down in front of her, like in her presence. I love her so much. How do you calm down?
How do you calm around pets? Listen,
How do you
I've tried
calm?
to describe this to people, but like cats and, sometimes dogs, but mostly cats, they're like walking teddy bears. And when I was a kid, I don't know if you were the same way, like before we got pets, I had a dog and cat when I was younger, but before we had them, like I wished for like my teddy bears to be alive because they're so cute. I just want to carry them. And that is our cats. That is them.
Yes. That's a great explanation. It's true. They literally are, like, I don't think I realized until my sister got a cat how cute cats are. Like, I've always liked cats. I've always liked animals, but then having one like around you consistently who actually likes you, it's just like a whole different level. I'm like, I can't look away. Like, I can't look away from her. I love her so much.
Truly, like everything they do, it's like, I love you. That's SpongeBob. Patrick
I
always
love
said,
you. I love you. Yeah. I have a whole album devoted to her. My phone recognizes her as Feiruz, like names her. I named her like, so anytime, like the facial recognition in photos, it like has like my mom, my dad, my sister, my brother-in-law, and then it has Feiruz. Like
Your
it's
niece.
phone recognized. Yeah, my niece, Feiruz. I love her so much.
No, but I get it. I get it.
Thank
So
you. Thank you
mascot.
for validating me. Yeah, she is. Oh my gosh. We should post a picture of her. I have so many photos of her. I love her. But she hates me right now because I keep smothering her. And she's like, go away.
With love and literally. You're just like,
Yes. Well, I have cat allergies, which is a problem when I like stuff my face into her fur. You're like wondering why my eyes are puffy. That's why I'm wearing glasses right now. Cause like I'm thankful I'm the one in my family that has cat allergies. Because everyone else wouldn't tolerate it. Like she wouldn't be here. But meanwhile, I love her so much. So it's like God knew, like give Olivia the cat allergies because she will deal with it because I love her.
Listen to the things we do for pets. I would be the same way. That's such a good point. It's like, thank God it was you who had it.
Yeah. If it was any of my parents, this cat would be gone. Yeah.
Right. In a second.
So sad.
James got adult allergies to dogs and cats. We have 2 cats. And so he has to take medicine every day. But you do that because they're walking teddy bears.
They're just so cute. I will take allergy medicine for the rest of my life. I will wear my glasses for the rest of my life to be in her presence.
They look great on you. So yeah.
Thank you.
No issue.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
I'm still recovering from a cold, so I might just have to cough my lungs out every couple seconds. That's okay. Today we have a really exciting episode. We are going to talk about the first 4 episodes that have dropped of the Percy Jackson Disney Plus show. You've been excited about this for a long time. How have you been feeling? We're going to go into detail here, but I'm generally asking, like, how have you been feeling since it's dropped?
I've been really excited about it. I have like, I don't know, I didn't have very high expectations. I didn't really have any. We had the previous movies that came out, and I wasn't a big Percy Jackson fan, I think, when the movies came out. So I just had low expectations, and I've been really pleased. I've been pleasantly surprised by it. Like I've enjoyed it more than I even expected. So it's good. Very good.
Same. I think we're similar in that we both read it as adults. You read it as an adult?
Yes. I read it in college. I read them 2014. I believe. So I was about 21, I think, when I read them. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's important to mention because I've told people that, like, I recently read it like in 2020, 2021, and I told people that, and they're like, wait, why are you reading that? It's a child's book. It is a children's book, but it's just entertaining and it's fun and silly.
Yeah.
And I think that even if you're an adult, if you're in your 30s now, I think it's a fun read. Everyone should check it out.
Agree. It's kind of like Harry Potter. I mean, it gets compared to Harry Potter all the time, but like adults read Harry Potter, even though the first few books especially are definitely children's books, but it's the same vibe, like same type of thing, and it kind of ages as each book goes. So very, very on par with HP.
With HP.
With good old HP.
I wanted to talk about the significance of this book for a second. I just Googled a lot of facts about it because it was a cultural phenomenon when it came out. So the book came out in 2005, and the movie came out in 2010 with, shout out to Logan Lerman. He's one of our white boy Mount Rushmore heads. Check out our previous 2 episodes
ago. Yeah.
To know what we're talking about. Otherwise, that sounds crazy. During the first 10 years between 2005 and 2015, the Percy Jackson series, the book, sold more than 20 million copies worldwide. And since 2010, Rick Riordan, the author, he's earned over $103 million from book selling, making him the 12th highest paid author during this time.
Whoa. That's a lot of money.
Yes.
That's all I got. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. I don't know much, but that's a lot of money.
I don't know.
It's at least 12.
That is when we were doing our goals, I was like, in my mind, I'm like, okay, we just got to write a book, Olivia. We just write a
Dude, that's on my
phenomenon.
list. Just write the worldwide phenomenon, Percy Jackson and the Olympians. Just do that.
Just do it.
Just do it. I would love to. I want to. I'm working on it.
You are.
In my brain.
In your brain.
But it's not going to be this good. There's no way. Especially for like a first story I've ever written. Like, that ain't happening. Yeah. It's not going to be Harry Potter or Percy Jackson.
Probably not. But maybe ChatGPT can make it then.
That's fine with me.
You never know. Because, I mean, Fourth Wing was written by ChatGPT. I'm so sorry, everyone.
That's a conspiracy theory, but I believe it. The Iron Flame was written by ChatGPT. I fully accept it as reality.
We're Endgame.
Yes. I believe it. We're Endgame. You're in your development era. We'll never let that go. What is it? Writers train as hard as they party, or they party as hard as they train. Yeah. Always stuck in my head. Terrible.
Forever. It just repeats. Cycle.
If you're ever wondering what I'm thinking about, it's that sentence and wondering how it got published, for sure.
We wanted to make this episode so anyone who hasn't seen the show or might not even be interested, we want you to be interested based off the things we talk about. So I'm just going to give a quick description of the book and kind of its history, because I think it's super interesting. I don't know if you ever learned about how he created this book, but I didn't know, and it's cool.
I was gonna say I don't know anything about how he developed it. I just assumed it was just based off Greek mythology, which it is. I just thought he like looked at a Greek story and was like, I'm gonna write that. I don't know. So this
went to Greece and was like, oh, it's coming to me, and then
it's like, I'm just gonna write this. Like, that's all I do. And he's just like, that was it. He just knows.
End of the episode. Yeah, thank you.
That was it. Thank you for listening.
So if anyone's new to Percy Jackson, where have you been? Probably under a rock. That's okay. Hello, Patrick. So Percy Jackson is about a 12-year-old modern demigod, Percy Jackson. He's just coming to terms with his newfound supernatural powers. He must trek across America to find Zeus's stolen Master Bolt and restore order to Olympus when the sky god accuses him of stealing it. And so this is specific to this first season of the show, which we'll be talking about. But before we do that, I do want to just give a quick breakdown of like how Rick Riordan wrote the first book, Percy Jackson, the Lightning Thief. Super interesting backstory. So he began making up stories for his son Haley, who had been diagnosed with ADHD and dyslexia. His son had been studying Greek mythology in second grade and asked his dad, Rick, to come up with bedtime stories based on these Greek myths. Riordan, funny enough, had been a Greek mythology teacher in middle school for many years, so he was knowledgeable of these stories. And he was able to remember enough stories to please his son. Soon, Riordan ran out of myths, and his son requested that he make new ones using the characters from the Greek myths with a new twist. I did just pull all this from Wikipedia, by the way. Riordan created the fictional character of Percy Jackson and his travels across the U.S. to recover Zeus's lightning bolt. In his story, Riordan made ADHD and dyslexia part of the Demigods' powers, which I love. I think that's so cool, taking like a disability and making it a power. That must have made his son feel, proud of.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
I love that. He's a good dad. That's sweet.
So sweet. My dad didn't do enough. Well, no, I didn't
My
get
dad
to
didn't write me a best-selling novel. It's horrible.
Dad was never considered one of the best 12 authors in the U.S., so I don't know what his problem was.
Just call CPS. Call Child Protective Services now. How did we survive?
12 years too late. Yeah.
Literally. 15 years? Well, yeah, 18. I don't know.
But yeah, so ADHD and dyslexia, that's what were a part of the Demigods' powers. They respectively heightened his battle reflexes, and he had a brain wired to read ancient Greek rather than English. After he finished telling the story, his son asked that his dad write a book based on Percy's adventures, and so he did. Very cute. And so he started writing those books. He gave his manuscript to his agents and editor to review. He first took his book to a middle schoolers to critique, which is like, as UX researchers were like, yes, love to see it. Test it with your target users. And with their help, he came up with the name of the book and invented his Percy's Magic Sword. The main reason for why I want to bring that up too was like after many rejections, an agent picked up the manuscript and she liked its premise. And in 2004, the book was sold to Miramax Books for enough money that Riordan could quit his job and focus on writing. And we want that for ourselves.
Goals, boy. He got it.
He did it. It's so easy.
He did do it. I mean, it sounds like he wrote some other books. So this was not his first novel, it sounds like to me.
Might have not been. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. But if it was, good for him. Impressive. So you already mentioned, there was a movie that came out in 2010 with Logan Lerman. In those movies, there was two movies, The Lightning Thief and The Sea of Monsters, which is books 1 and 2. Those have typically been rejected by the Percy Jackson fandom. I think even by Rick Riordan himself. He was not really involved in any of the production of those movies. I've seen them. They just like age up the characters. It kind of has like this like sexiness about it. Like they tried to like add they tried to sexualize it because the characters are older in the movies. Like Logan Lerman's probably around like in his 20s at the time, and all the characters are aged up. So they just like have that like, that teeny vibe to it that just like doesn't really work. So it sounds like, Rick Riordan started talking to Disney in 2019 to recreate the Percy Jackson series as a show. So it was reported in 2020 that the budget would be higher than the MCU and Star Wars. And initially it took forever to get off the ground. Like that's crazy that it would be higher than the MCU and Star Wars. That's wild.
Insane, but very cool. Like YA books are up there,
Yeah, like those are massive budgets for their shows. That's incredible. So the casting started in 2021. And then in 2022, April 11th, 2022, they announced the title role to Walter Scobell as Percy Jackson. And I actually remember this day very well. And I like, your initial reaction when you see that, you're like, oh, he doesn't have black hair. He's blonde. And as someone who was like read the books, I was like a little bit upset about that. But you're like, I'm willing to, if Rick Riordan is okay with him, like obviously blonde hair isn't the reason he's not Percy Jackson, right? Like Percy's not Percy because he has black hair. So you just have to like take a step back and be like, I'm gonna just take him as a character and not as like his physical attributes, which is probably good of any character, right? Like we are not our physical attributes. Anyway, tangent. On May 5th, 2022, it was announced that Leah Sava Jeffries and Ariane Simhedri were cast as Annabeth Chase and Grover Underwood. Same type of reaction here, although Leah got some other feedback, which was so unfortunate, like
No,
due to just her
I didn't
skin
know that.
color. Yeah, because Annabeth is white in the books, blonde hair and white, and she's obviously not. So mainly at the end of the day, especially after like Walter got cast, I was just like, okay, we're not like following the physical attributes of the book, but that's fine. Like there's no issues with that as long as the actors are good. So same reaction with Leah. If like Rick Riordan believes that she's a good Annabeth, then she's a good Annabeth. Like who cares? But racism.
The same thing,
Unfortunate.
the Little Mermaid. It's just so unfortunate. Just get over it, people.
Yeah, it's like it's a book character. Like you can be anything you want it to be. It's like doesn't matter. And it's so annoying to focus on that when you're in a world of Greek monsters. Like really, that's what you're upset about? The Little Mermaid one is in particular. It's like this is a mermaid, and yet you're upset that she's black. Like she's a
Yeah.
mermaid.
Wait. Yeah. And there's
Like
a Jamaican crab. Please, please
like,
stop.
but the skin color that's the issue here. Like we just have questions. So like same thing. But like so like I'll admit like sometimes it is tough when you're just like, oh, I imagine the characters this way and this is not how I imagine them. So like I can understand they're just being like, oh, I don't know. But like the skin color thing is stupid. Like that's obviously not a good enough reason. And that's just racism, right? Like I don't know. There's nowhere else to go except that. And then Lin-Manuel Miranda was cast to play Hermes, and Jay Duplass was cast to play Hades. Interesting. I don't know who that
Yeah.
is.
Of the Duplass brothers, they make random movies together, and I forget his brother's name, but they're both like popular. They've been in a lot of TV shows.
Oh, okay. Well, good for him. Lin-Manuel Miranda, he just showed up in a recent episode. We'll talk about that. But I was like, oh, I know him. I know this man. And production wrapped in February 3rd, 2023, and it was premiered on Disney Plus, I think December 26th, 2023. So this is all pretty fresh, very exciting. And we're on to episode, as we're recording this today, January 9th, episode 5. It will be coming out tonight, but we're only going to be talking about episodes 1 through 4 today.
Oh, that's true. So it's every Tuesday that it drops.
Yeah, Tuesday, like 9 Eastern. So we have 5 episodes as of tonight.
Perfect. Okay. We'll end up doing like a second episode where we talk about the rest of the episodes.
Yep, for sure.
So now we're going to talk about our thoughts on the first 4 episodes. I'm going to quickly just like go over what happened in case you haven't seen them but still want to listen to this episode. So I think there are some aspects that didn't follow the book, and we'll talk about that. But what has happened in the show, the first one, classic scene where he gets expelled from school after one of his teachers like attacks him in the Met Museum. In the first episode, he unravels who he is, and he has to confront a world of gods and monsters that he didn't know existed. Episode 2, he finds his place at Camp Half-Blood after his mom was killed. She's not actually killed. We learn about that later. Who knows? Second episode, he finds his place at Camp Half-Blood, meets Annabeth and Luke, and gets to get the hang of things. Third episode, he is tasked with the quest to return Zeus's stolen Master Bolt to stop a war between the gods. That happened very quickly, and I was just like, wait, they glazed over that. We'll talk about that in a second. But I was like, if I was new to this, I'd be like, what's happening?
Yeah.
That was the Medusa episode first, which was very iconic in the movie. And then the most recent one, the heroes search for refuge in St. Louis and come face to face with the mother of all monsters. So right off the bat, we're going to talk about like our reactions right away. So what are your thoughts so far about the show, and then also talking about like the actors too?
Yeah, I will admit, because I read these books in 2014, and this has been a theme of a lot of our like discussions around books. I don't remember much, I'll be honest, especially the first book. I do not remember much. I know like the general premise, like I know the big plot twists, I know all of that. But details, no memory. So I am basically watching this as if it's new. And like some things will like trigger my memory. So to your point around saying like, oh, that went by so fast, this whole like he's tasked on this quest, I felt the same. I was like, what the F? That's a thing? Oh yeah, lightning thief. Right. Okay. Like I took me a second to like catch up. I do think that was an issue. So like I think the show is really good. I think like they are staying as true to the books as possible as I can remember. I think the cast is amazing. Like I said, like any like initial fear of the cast like not looking how maybe I thought they would look doesn't matter at all. Like now I think like it's a little bit sad sometimes when this happens, but I'm like Walter Scobell is like how I'm starting to imagine Percy a little bit. I'm like, I think he just works. Like he works out well. And Leah, the same, like as Annabeth. I never really had image of Grover, so it doesn't really matter to me. Like I just never really pictured him. But he's a good Grover. Like, great. No issues with him. I think my only like critiques are sometimes that like the humor, there's not a lot of humor in it. Like the humor's a little bit flat. And the CGI is bad. The CGI is honestly my biggest critique. Like, especially in the first episode, the CGI was like really bad. And I'm like, oh. And then when you're like entering it in the beginning and you have like you're just like judging it, right? Like it's the first episode and all you're doing is judging the show because that's what the first episode is for. That was my like initial reaction. I was like, oh, I don't like the CGI at all, but I'm kind of just like getting over it because I like the rest of it. But yeah, besides some like initial like some pacing and that, I think it's really successful. I think it's one of the better Disney Plus shows in a while. I don't really watch many, so I don't know. What about you? What do you think?
I had a lot of similar reactions. It's so funny for you to say, like, again, we forget what we read even just 2 weeks ago. So I came into a lot of this like as if I'm viewing it for the first time. And so that's why my critique is like, I think the pacing's a little off. I think they're getting there. Because like I thought they could have spent a little bit more time at Camp Half-Blood, because I remember in the book that being such an interesting part of his journey. Like it's like Harry first going to Hogwarts. Again, we're comparing to Harry Potter. It's very similar, but like a kid who didn't know he was magical is magical. And, you know, that first reveal of this magical world was so important because we were putting ourselves in Percy's and Harry's shoes. And I just thought they kind of like went through that really quickly. I didn't like understand enough about this world. And then for them to just like then quickly jump into his journey that he'll be taking, his task. I was like, wait, what we just learned that like Poseidon's your dad and like that you're in this world. So that's a little off, but we'll see. It's getting better, I think, by episode. Each episode gets a little bit better. And I agree, the CGI kind of took me out of it. I'm like, this is not a show that was made after 2020. This looks like a show that was made in like 2010. So
no, I agree. Yeah. I agree. It's like it takes you out of it. You're like, the whole show is CGI, like these monsters, and then it's bad. Like the teacher in the first episode, I was like, oh, this is so bad. Like, is this so bad? It just sets bad taste in your mouth, honestly.
Right. It's hard to get past. That's I'm worried that like, if someone's going this cold, like never even read the books, they're gonna be like, I don't want to watch this, which fair critique. And then also with like I do think the writing could be improved, and I hate to say it, but the acting isn't as great as I want it to be. And I know they're kids. I'm so sorry to child actors, but I just wish the acting was a little bit better. It takes me out of it again. I'm like, I know I'm watching you act. So that's my critique. Yeah. But again, it's getting better per episode because again, as they were probably shooting, they probably got more acquainted with each other and like the filming and like the process. So I think each episode just keeps getting better. You just kind of have to get through those first initial episodes.
No, I agree with you. I think there are moments where I'm like, you recognize that these are kids. Like I think episode 3 specifically, I think episode 4 was really good. There were moments in episode 3 where I noticed that like the three of them were just like kind of speaking monotone in a way. Like it was just very flat. So I did notice that too. Like there were just moments where I'm like, they're just kids. Like and they're learning to act. So, and I think they were like learning to interact with each other. And I think sometimes there's a problem. Like there are more episodes to come, but this show is only 8 episodes. Like that's all it is. So we're already like halfway through the season. So sometimes it sucks because you're just getting your footing, but we're already halfway through the season. So we need more episodes. Like honestly, we really do. And that's partially also why I think the first episode, like to your point, like all of it happens so fast. Like he finds out he's a demigod. He gets to Camp Half-Blood. His mom dies, and then he's off to the quest. And you're like, "Whoa, this is 1 episode or 2 episodes, whatever." But it's because they only have 8. Like they only have 8 episodes. So we should just make more episodes as we would do normally, but they just like don't want to do that for whatever reason. So I think it's like, yeah, it's unfortunate these like short shows, these like quick episodes, but I agree with you. I think they're getting better. I think there are moments where Walter specifically, I think he's the best actor of all of them, of the 3 of them. He has like a good edge to him. Like Percy's not always like, he's a good kid, but he has like a slight kind of edge that I think he does a good job showing, that I'm like, ooh, yeah, good job. I'm a little afraid of you, which is good. That's what we want.
He does do that well because he's a little bit rebellious, and you can see that come through Walter.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, I think they are getting better. Episode 4 was the best acting, I think, of the 4 of them. So, or 3 of them. So I agree. Yeah.
I did want to ask, because I know you're more in tune with the series. Were there any parts that weren't adapted from the books that they just created for the show?
I don't remember. I'm gonna be honest. I really don't. I really don't remember much of the first book. I know that they've made changes, but I couldn't even really tell you many of the changes that they've made, because I just don't remember the details of the first book. But I know, like, in the last episode, like episode 4, the fight on the arch, the 3 of them are not there. It's just Percy that's up there. He like leads them into the arch and like goes up to the top. But I like everything that they did with that. I think that was like a good scene, and like them creating the like tension between the 3 of them in the last, like in episode 3, and then episode 4, they like are starting to come closer together, and like Percy basically sacrifices himself for them. Like I think they're making those changes because of the shortness to like bond them together, and I think that works. But no, I don't remember. I really don't.
That's fair. I didn't remember that arch scene, so I was wondering if like that was entirely not in the book, but it sounds like just a part of that was in the book.
Yeah, no, the arch scene is infamous in the books because it's like Percy jumps off the top of the arch into the Mississippi. And if anyone's ever been to the St. Louis Arch, you know that there is a wide distance between the arch and the Mississippi. Like it's on the Mississippi, but there's at least a solid, like, I don't know, like there's a good chunk of land. Like you can't jump off the arch into the Mississippi. But apparently like, Rick Riordan even said, he's like, I thought the Mississippi was over, that the arch was over the Mississippi. Like he didn't know when he wrote it.
Love that.
Yeah, so the arch is definitely there. I think they solved it by having the water like come and get him. But so when I was watching that, I was just like, this isn't how the scene goes. I don't remember. Like I just know he jumps, and so they made some tweaks. That's all.
I think you're a little bit more in tune with like Book Talk and Bookstagram and those feeds, especially the book artists. How are people receiving the show? Were people excited, and then how are they receiving it now, just based off like what you've observed?
I think overall positive. At least on my side of the internet, I've seen only positive things. I've seen like new fan art of like the new characters and like the way that they look. So I think generally positive. I'm sure there's some negativity, but I haven't seen it. I think it's
just
good.
from us. Just from the things we mentioned. But even then, we're not haters.
We're not negative.
A couple classic critiques that we would do with any show. But yeah, I think it's entertaining.
I think it's good. I think it's a good show. I think, yeah, it's just like it's never going to be perfect, but I think it's the best adaptation we've gotten of the series, so I'm not mad about it.
That's true. Those movies were fun, but that's true that like there's a reason they stopped. I don't think they made the 3rd one. People stopped watching it.
They were I don't remember them, honestly. I only watched them once. They were probably good for just like a fun movie, not good as an adaptation. Like they just shouldn't be connected. They're just separate entities.
I'm excited for what's to come. Really interesting show. And I do wonder if, because they started thinking about producing the show in 2019, if 2020 kind of took a part of their budget from them. If Disney was like, we got to take some of your budget, even though they have so much money. But I'm sure that happened. I want, because, typically it is a 10 episode season. Whenever they take, it's 8, their budget got cut somewhere. So I wonder if something happened.
I'm sure it did. Maybe like the writer's strike or like well, no, I don't know if the actor's strike or writer's strike would have affected it because they probably filmed before then. I don't know. I'm sure something occurred. I know that like Disney related to Marvel has like notoriously underpaid CGI artists, and like there's been issues. Like that's why like some of the Marvel properties, their CGI has also been really bad because they're just working on like a really quick timeline and really low budgets. So I wouldn't be surprised if like this show had elements of that as well, because we know we can create better CGI. It's just clearly they don't want to pay for it. I don't know. Maybe they're also just waiting to see how well the show goes, and then maybe season 2 they'll put more money into it, which they should. And I think that the show's proven to be successful. I'm sure it will get a second season, as it should. So I think that's part of it. It's just they're just bad with their CGI artists. They don't treat them well. So
that's like Disney, literally terrible. And everyone should be paid adequately for their value.
And it sucks too, because it's like, if you're creating this content, like, what, you have the money, like produce the content well, because it does matter. This stuff does matter. Like, we're talking about it. That is, to be honest, probably my biggest critique of the show. The other things will like get better, right? Like the writing, I'm willing to wait on. Like the pacing, the actors are going to age. Like, you recognize that they're young. The CGI is like the one thing you can actually control right now, and they just didn't. Like, that's stupid.
It's stupid. And that's what they're like supposed to be good at.
Yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
To be honest.
Disney, it's Marvel. You know what I mean? They should be good at that.
So their whole thing is like fantasy, like in making stuff up. Like, it's just it's a dumb place to drop the ball when you have other things that like are involved. Like, it's just it's stupid.
There was a thought in my brain, and I'm glad it's with Disney because it's a kid show, but like, I'm like, if HBO made the show, I think it would bring the elements that I wanted in this. That like, I think HBO is really good with CGI, as we've seen with Game of Thrones, and House of the Dragon. And I think they would have brought the like, there's like a certain intensity and like themes of death that are involved with the show that I'm not really getting with these episodes so far. Like, it is, and again, it is for kids, so I think that it's purposeful. But I think HBO would have brought like those entertaining pieces, but also like, this is a serious like adventure that you're going on. You might die at any moment with all these monsters chasing you. So I do wonder if like, if a different production company created it, I wonder how it would be.
Yeah, I think they would have pulled out some of the darker themes for sure, because it's not like, we keep bringing it back to Harry Potter, but like it same thing. Like, there's a darkness to these stories a little bit. Like, these kids are being thrown into these terrible situations, almost like Avatar: The Last Airbender too. Like, they all have these like they're children's shows or books, but they have these really dark and heavy themes that these kids are being placed in. Very same thing. Yeah, and I agree. I'm not fully getting that here. I don't feel the stakes as much, but I'm hopeful that we will moving forward. But agreed with you.
That's true. Maybe going forward, because I think the first time that I got a sense of that was when he fell from the arch and he got saved. That was like the first time I'm like, this is real. He could die right now. So maybe. Well, we'll see. We'll see, everyone, how the other episodes go.
Yeah, I think there's a good thing that like I kind of like that I don't remember the books, to be honest. Like, it's kind of nice to watch this almost with fresh eyes. Like, I have obviously some attachment, or I have like attachment to the characters, but it is nice to watch it like, not knowing much of what's going on besides the key points, because it does allow some of that, like, for me to notice more, that I'm like, I don't know the stakes. I don't know these things. Like, I don't really remember. So you have to tell me, because I don't remember. And
right.
They're not doing
and we
that.
never will We're so bad at remembering. Please, always remind us.
Always remind us, yeah. But this should stand alone. It should be able to stand alone. Like I shouldn't have to be reread this 100 times to be able to enjoy this show. Like a good book to movie adaptation or book to show adaptation should stand on its own. And I think it is for the most part. The final tell will be episode 8, obviously, when you like and we can look at it as a whole. But yeah, like I shouldn't have to know the books to enjoy the show.
That's a good point. Yeah. Just generally, I think that's a good like rule of thumb for these shows and movies.
100%. Yeah, 100% for sure. Yeah, but it's fun. I'm having a good time. My parents are watching it with me too. Like they like it. We all like it. It's fun.
So cute.
I know it is cute. It's rare to watch a show like that, like all together. So we're having a good time.
So I know what you all are doing tonight.
I mean, maybe. I don't know if we'll watch it tonight, but we should.
They're off hanging out without you.
Yeah. They are, honestly, probably. But yeah, it's fun. I would give it like a solid, maybe 8 out of 10 right now.
Oh, that's high. Okay,
it is high. I like it. Like I'm having fun.
I don't know if I like it that much. Maybe like a 7.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I was gonna say 7, but I was like, no, I'll give it an 8. That's what my gut's telling me.
And always go with your gut.
Yeah, but 7 I think is totally fair. I think it's fair. It's not a perfect show.
Yeah,
but it's not the worst show by any means that I've ever watched.
Yeah. And next episode, we'll talk about the worst shows ever created.
Oh, what are those?
I don't know. Oh, there's
sure there's a few.
We'll think of them. I have so many of those, so
it's fair. But no, good time.
Tell us what you think. Yeah, we'll just ask everyone. What do you think? That will be our poll.
Yeah, what is the worst show you've ever watched? Also,
how they would rate this episode. But sorry, what were you saying?
No, that's fair. Yeah, how would they rate the show so far? Percy Jackson? Yeah, tell us. Leave us a comment below. All right. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Fangirl Fails podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. We're in your feed every Monday with an emotional analysis on a book, movie, show, whatever we're feeling like, whatever's giving us all the feelings. Leave us a comment below. Yeah, how are you enjoying the Percy Jackson show? What are your critiques or favorite things of the show? If you had a favorite scene, my favorite scene was probably the arch scene so far, but we're only on episode 4, so we'll see. Yeah, we'll be back in your feed next week. You can follow us on Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you ever get your podcasts. Follow us on social media, like I said, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. You can follow our individual accounts, Totally Tanya or Viva, which is VVIVAA. Yeah, that's it. We'll be back next week. But until then, bye. Bye. That was good.
Wow.
Very good.